Hey, I know that most of you are not software developers, and I thought it would be pretty cool for me to show you what it's like to be a software developer if you're not one, if you're thinking about being one. I'm going to give you a little quick, this is not a tutorial, this is not super complex, but this is going to be a long video, and I can't see without my reading glasses. I'm about to deploy my application to the App Store, so I'm going through a series of tests to make sure I don't have any bugs, and I'm going to fix these bugs before I deploy. And here I found one. Here is an exception. I can see what the exception is. So this is specifically for me, and I put a breakpoint there because I was expecting that there might be an exception. I expand the exception, and I want to see the stack trace. So I click on this little icon so I can see the stack trace, and I see it was a dictionary element, but I did not write this code. So I look a little bit further to DB items. This happens to be this file that I'm currently working in, line 703. So let's close this and let's scroll up to line 703. Oops, 600, I went too far. 703 is right here. This is where the exception is. Now, if I read that exception, which I did, it's in a dictionary item that's giving it saying there's a null exception, saying it couldn't find file leaf ref. And so it is actually this call that's getting the exception. So I know find existing UI item, and I know what I'm looking for, file leaf ref. And it's because I wrote it that I know this. In this particular thing, it's a list, and lists don't have file names. So this is being called on a list, and it's not getting the file name. So if I read the code, I'm looking for the first file, first or default file. I'm trying to get the string, and I'm looking to see whether or not it is the title of this item, and that the SPID is less than 0. Instead of this, let's call try get value, and this is a different method. And I could have done this originally. I'm going to try to get that value. Property info prop, and I can't do the toString on it. And then I go and prop that toString. So now I'm using this try get value instead of hard coding to file leaf ref. So now if it doesn't get file leaf ref, it's not going to bother doing the rest of this. I'm going to build. It's checking it for errors. It does have a linker. It is stripping out extra things it doesn't need. So it is doing a bunch of cleanup work when you build the code. And I can go back down to where the exception was, which I believe was here. Drink of my, because it's very important for developers. Here's my application. I'm not going to get into describing the application, but I will go to what caused the error before, and this is what caused it. In fact, if we go up to that line of code, 703, add a breakpoint there, and go up here, to collapse this and expand it. There, we've hit this point. So if I step through this, here's the first or default thing that's being called, and it's going to go through that. Let's step out, and step over this. Okay, and it didn't find child. There's nothing in child, so equals null. So it's going to return 0, which is exactly what we expected. So this problem has been alleviated. But I'd like to check one thing before I just let it go. Let's try to fix this so that we can look for file leaf ref, or we'd look for a title. So let's fix this. To simplify things, I'm just going to move lines to the next line. I'm going to get rid of this breakpoint. Let's stop running it. So now we're not running anymore. Do that. And we'll do the same thing again. We're not going to declare prop again. We already declared it up here, so we don't need to declare it again. So I wanted to do the whole method. So let's get this. If either one of these are true, now let's change this to title. If either one of these are true, I will have the property. Here's something else though. Let's make this a little faster. Okay, now that I'm in here, the SPID is less than 0. It's going to take less processor time than looking up trying to get value. Let's take that and put it first. And so now it's going to say, first thing is the SPID has got to be less than 0. That's quick. So that's going to zip through things right away, and it's not going to bother doing both of these. So we've actually just made this faster just by doing one little move. It's not going to go through all the properties trying to find fileleafref and all the properties and trying to find title. It's just going to get here, and if it finds this, it's going to be that. So we're already making it faster. So now it's going to look for these two items in either one of them. It's going to try fileleafref first, and then it'll try title. But I think that it's more common for this to be title than fileleafref. So let's look for title first. Let's do some performance improvement as long as we're here, and then look for fileleafref if we can't find title. That's the situation we're in here. It's not a bad assumption to say that's the assumption, that's where it's going to be. And I know that in lists it's always going to be the title, especially looking at debugging when we're looking at the properties. We will just put it on another line. And so the formatting doesn't really matter. I do it like this so I can see it easier. Since these are both in the parens there, when you're writing this stuff, you're doing it for your future self. You want to say, in 6 months when I look at this, I want to understand what the hell I wrote. So I'm going to leave all this on one line to make it clear that this is going to be executed as one unit because of the parens. And so I know that we have fixed this problem. We can build it all. We can try it again. So let's wait for this build to build. Drink some more Coke. One of the things that I have learned over the years as a developer, as somebody who reads code, is make the code simple, 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 simple. I am not here to make it as complex as possible. I do not care if my code is condensed. I want the code to be as efficient as possible, but I don't care if I have crunched everything down to a really compact line of code. I want it to be clear as to what the code is doing, and that's a major goal for me. All right, the code is built. Let's run it. Start it up again. We're in Documents. It's connected. It's green, right? We go to Events like we were before, and we have another exception. And this is rnav item line 815. All right, so I'll go to that code, right nav rnav item 815. So here's the problem here. I'm not sure, because we're not debugging into here, I'm not sure where the bug is. So let's break out of this. So I'm going to restart the program. Let's set a breakpoint at 815, and see that 815 is this whole row. So this is part of the problem, is I don't know which one of these is the issue. What I'm about to do is really hacky. I'm restarting the program. Now I'm going to click on Events with the breakpoint there. I know that it's going to try to create many of these objects, so let's just count through them. 1, 2. The second one causes the exception, so I'm stopping the program. So we'll start the program. We know it's the second one once I hit the events list. So I'll come here, go to here, let's set that breakpoint. And we know it's going to happen on the second one. So click Events. That's the first one. And now this is where the exception happens. Okay, so it's going to be that one of these items is null. That's a negative number. SPID is a negative number. That's a negative number. DBRI row ID, okay, version is 1, list item is list item is false, list item is false, item is false, item is false. Oh, you know what the problem is? Parent is null. Woo! All right. So here's the problem. Parent is null. And I could solve this by doing this, which checks for parent, but I want to debug into this to find out why that parent is null. The only time the parent should be null is if it's the root. So what is this item? The root shouldn't be a database number, so this item getting passed here shouldn't have a null parent. So this equals, if I look as to where this is, find references, it's probably in DB items. So here it's where it's being called. Here's where this item is, doesn't have a parent. So we had this code. I could assign the parent to the item right here. I am going to do this as a fix-up just to see if we get around the issue. We know that the item parent is null, so let's just do that, which isn't a bad thing to do, but it's a weird place to do this. You know, this method here is just supposed to find the item, not fix up the item. It's not called fix up existing UI item. I'm going to do this as a test, and I'm going to say bug. This is because this is not the right place to do this. This is not the right place to do this. This is not the right place to fix up the parent. Remember, my goal right now is to get this into the App Store. It's not to rewrite the code. Once I get in the App Store, this will be one of the first things I look at. This is more likely like part of a bigger problem that I need to go through and figure out why the parent isn't being assigned. So I'm going to fix it up here because, like I said, this is new code. Let's run with it and assign the parent to this. In fact, let's just throw a breakpoint there and let's debug this again and see whether or not we get past this problem. I don't want to write a lot of lines of code. This is a really simple fix, but it's the wrong place. All right, code is running again. Started, here's our thing. Let's take the breakpoint off, continue running the code. Let's go back here and let's click on events. And what do we get? Here, the parent is null, right? And we're going to set the parent item, which is going to be this, which is exactly what we want. Let's just continue the program. So I'm going to collapse this and expand it, and there's no exception. Here's the thing. This looks like a bug. So there's no name here, and it looks like a bug, but it's not. The problem is that the title is way over here in this column, so it's actually the way it's supposed to be working. Can I change this resume name to, what's going to happen if I try to change it? I changed it. What do you know? Code works. Anyway, I need to go run through a bunch of tests. Looks like we got that working. Start time is first because this is an attachment. It doesn't have a start time, so that's the reason why we don't see anything in this area. But it is documents. We get this icon for it to be a document, and this is an item that has a different. This document should have a document icon. So there you go. I found another bug. It isn't showing up as a Word document icon. I'm going to go look at that bug now, and I'm going to keep going until I don't find any more obvious bugs, and then deploy this to the App Store. And that's the kind of process that we go through as a developer.